NBC4 News at 5 starts now.
Next at 5:30, hunters and others show up to support a state.
He represents the state of California and the protection of wildlife in the state of California. And here he is going into another state and killing him. He did nothing illegal. It's just unethical what he did. And it's certainly something that's pretty despicable.
Californians voted to protect mountain lions.
I'm a guy that doesn't like.
And basically, you can go into any animal laboratory and you'll find that the same problem exists between the mental anguish and suffering of a young kid than the suffering of an animal, whether it be the emotional
suffering. Can I ask your impressions of being in this shed?
You know, what I'm seeing in this shed right now is disgusting. My name is Chris DeRose, Big D, Small E, Big R-O-S-E. I'm the president and founder of Last Chance for Animals. We're a nonprofit organization. We're international, and we do primarily investigations now. All right, I started Last Chance for Animals almost 30 years ago. And we started out doing demonstrations, civil disobedience, and we eventually started doing investigations. The investigations, and then we do education once we expose someplace, and then we try to change the laws. And I've been doing this now, I hate to say it, it's been a long time, 35 years. I'm doing it 35 years altogether. I started in welfare. Spay and neuter was my number one thing, spay and neuter. There's no reason for animals to have to be slaughtered and die. It's just out of people's either negligence or their narcissism or their greed. They want to have puppies. They want to breed puppies, or they want money. So I got very involved in spay and neuter for a few years, and then I started getting involved in vivisection, animal experimentation. Animal experimentation is very big in the United States. Billions and billions of dollars is spent on it when we could be taking that money and helping people with it. And the only way you're going to find a cure to these diseases is if you do the clinical studies on the people that got the disease spontaneously, not artificially, by putting it into another species of animal, and then try to find a cure for that. And then all you did is you found a cure for that species that got it artificially. You did nothing else. It doesn't extrapolate over to human beings at all. So when I saw what went on inside laboratories, I was outraged. I couldn't believe that this stuff exists. Me, who was very pro-American, gung-ho, I thought, wow, America could do something like this. I couldn't believe it. And so I started going inside laboratories, and I started photographing, videotaping, and documenting what goes on in there. And so that's how I got started. And then, but then I started doing investigations later on, and some of it was in laboratories, some of it was in Class B dealers. These are people that steal your pet, your dog, your cat, and then they sell them for experiments. Then I got involved with puppy mills and circus animals and everything else. So we were doing it for years for other groups, but we figured, you know what, why do it for other groups? Let's just expand our horizon on what we do. But I like to try to stay focused, because a laser beam has much more effect in cutting through anything than a blowtorch. Blowtorch is not going to go through steel. Laser beam will go through anything. So I like to be the laser beam. And right now, we've expanded a little further out, but we're still very effective in what we do. And my philosophy is, and I feel very strong about this, is we're not here for fluff. We're not here to make money. We're not here to get big. We're not here to grow our name. And a lot of groups do that. We're here to make real change for animals. So we're looking for real change, not just talking about it, not looking to do something and make money on it and then move on to something else and leave the problem still there. No. absolutely everyone's responsibility to do something. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. You need to be there to do something. If a man stands idly by and watches a crime happen, he's guilty of it, just as much as the person that's doing it. And there's actually, it's not my quote, but there's some great things, there are some great quotes about that, but my thing is, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem, and I say get involved. Do something about it. You don't like what's going on, do something about it. Just don't sit back. There's a time and a place for everything. It's time to do something. Animal abuse is a wide range of things. It could be animal neglect. It could be somebody that's breeding animals for slaughter, factory farm animals. Somebody's breeding animals in puppy mills and is neglecting them and they're not getting proper attention. That's animal abuse. Anything that brings discomfort, that brings pain, that brings fear, that brings loneliness to an animal, it's animal abuse. And I don't care if it's happening in your house. I don't care if it's happening in your backyard and you think you have something good going on. You're responsible for that animal being abused. Think about it like this. I wouldn't want that happening to me. I wouldn't want it to happen to my child. Then why would you want it to happen, let it happen to a dog or a cat or a goat or any other animal? Why would you let it happen? Animals are certainly sentient beings. They do feel. They feel just like us. If you don't eat, what happens? You get hungry. If that dog or that cat or that goat or that sheep or that pig doesn't eat, they get hungry. If I stick you with a knife, you're going to feel the pain. They feel the pain. If they're left alone in a crate, just like if I left you alone in a room or a closet, they're going to feel the loneliness or the fear. They feel everything that we feel, nothing different. They just can't express it the way we could. They do express it, but we don't understand it, we don't see it. We'd rather go like this than to understand what they're going through. We started the phrase adopt, don't shop because we thought it captivates everything. Adopt animals. Adopt. Because there's so many being killed. And I don't care what country you're in, United States, Costa Rica, any place in Europe, they are murdering and killing animals because people have been neglectful. They let them breed because of puppy mills, because of backyard breeders. And I say, put a stop to it. Don't let it happen. Adopt the animals. Don't buy them. If you buy a dog, a puppy, in a store, and you think you saved that dog's life, and I tell people this, and I've had friends say this to me, and I'll tell them right to their face, you have allowed at least five die. They die in a puppy mill, they die in transportation, they die from illnesses, they die from neglect, and you could have adopted one from a shelter or a rescue. So, and not only that, that's only five that we know definitely. But those animals that come out of the puppy mills, you buy in a pet store, those animals are not altered, they're not fixed. They breed. Whereas if you get one from the shelter or from a rescue group, that animal's going to be spayed or neutered. No more breeding. So that really the number exponentially is much bigger than 5. So you're responsible if you buy an animal. You're responsible for them dying. And make no bones about it. You didn't rescue that dog because it's sitting in a cage. You just killed 5, at least. Spay and neuter is a solution. Yes, it's a big solution. Adopting is a big solution. It's part of the solution. Education is a big part of it. Because if you see another animal somewhere else that's being tormented, neglected, abused, it's your responsibility to do something about it. So it's not just one thing, but there's many. Spay and neuter, I would say, is the number one thing. Spay and neuter, keep the population down, but educate people why. Rescue is a great thing, and I've learned that from Diana Holder here in Costa Rica. I've learned a lot about rescue. I never was in rescue, but when you look at that face that you saved, and you know that that dog is not on a highway and not going to be hit, it's not going to be burned or abused, then it makes it worthwhile. That's an immediate self-gratification. You feel, you did something. But I say to the people that are doing rescue, I say also fight for the rights of those animals, because until you get to the core of the problem, it's going to continue on. You could rescue and rescue and rescue. You got to get to the core of the problem. You got to get to spay and neuter. You've got to get to educating the people. You got to educate the kids in the school system. You got to educate kids to be compassionate to all sentient beings. Not, and you'll see the crime against kids, against other kids in school, kids against their parents. You'll start to see that diminish too. We need to really start educating children about being compassionate. We got to educate the adults too. A little late for most adults, but for the most part, we got to educate people. When I do lectures, I always say the single most powerful entity is you. You're a free thinker and you've got a heart, you're compassionate. No government can control that person. No corporation can control that person. One person definitely can make a difference. Together, many one people, we can make real change. My only regret all my years of doing this is that I don't have many more years. I've been doing this for 35 years, and if I lived to be 500 years old, I would do it to that long. I have absolutely no regrets. I had a very good career as a working actor, and people say, oh, you gave that up? I didn't give that up. I found something much more worthwhile, something that is worthwhile. So yes, I'm very happy I made the change. I'm very happy with what I'm doing. I never would do anything else. I have to tell you, and I work in a lot of countries, Australia, a lot of countries in Europe. I'm very excited about the energy, the intelligence, the compassion, the fortitude of the people in Costa Rica to want to make a change. I see their commitment to want to make change. And as you know, I'll come down here anytime when you need me because I see that. So I will always be there for you, one way or the other. I'll always be there for you. And I just think that there's a lot to be done here, but you got a running start. This is a great country with great people, and I think a lot of change is going to be made here. And it's going to be made pretty soon, too. It's already being made.